update at 4, and we're staying in Abuja, where the former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, earlier today pleaded not guilty to the 20-count charge levied against him. This happened barely a day after Mr. Emefiele filed for a variation of his bail conditions, which restricted him to Abuja. In our ruling, Justice Hamza Muhazu, in varying the conditions of bail, said he can travel outside Abuja but must remain in the country. The charges against Mr. Emefiele are now criminal breach of trust, forgery, conspiracy to commit forgery, procurement fraud, and conspiracy to commit felony. The Supreme Court has affirmed the election of Sheriff Orori as the duly elected governor of Delta State. The Supreme Court dismissed the appeal filed by the APC and its governorship candidate, Umeh, challenging the election of Sheriff Orori as governor of the state. The court also dismissed the appeals filed by the SDP and Labour Party. And shortly after the judgment, this is what some streets in Nasarawa, the Delta State capital, look like. The Supreme Court also affirmed the election of David Umbugadu as governor of Ogun State, and this is after the court dismissed the appeal filed by the PDP and its candidate Adebutu Oladipupo challenging the election of Mr. Umbugadu as governor. And just moments after that judgment, the governor and his supporters were thankful to God for giving him victory at the apex court. In yet another judgment, the Supreme Court upheld the election of Abdullahi Sule as duly elected governor of Nasarawa State. The court dismissed the appeal of the PDP's governorship candidate David Umbugadu against the election of Governor Abdullahi Sule. The panel of justices, in a unanimous decision, dismissed it for lack of merit, and no cost was awarded. The Supreme Court has also dismissed the appeal filed by the PDP and its candidate Jibrin Bade challenging the election of Inuwa Yahaya as governor of Gombe State. Justice Kudirat Kikiriakou, who read the lead judgment, held that the appeal lacked merit. And for the Kebbi governorship appeal, the court dismissed the appeal filed by Aminu Bandi of the People's Democratic Party challenging the election victory of Governor Nasir Idris of Kebbi State. The Supreme Court then affirmed the election of Nasir Idris as governor. Also earlier today, the apex court dismissed the appeal filed by People's Democratic Party governorship candidate Isa Ashiru, challenging the election of Governor Ubas Sani of Kaduna State. The apex court also affirmed the judgments of the lower courts and the Court of Appeal, which affirmed Mr. Ubas' win in the March 2023 governorship election. The judgment is unanimous and no cost is awarded. Away from the Supreme Court now, the Nigeria Union of Pensioners is advocating implementation of 33% pension increase by governors in the Southwest. The union also wants consequential adjustment for pensioners as approved by the federal government to serve as relief for the senior citizens in the country. Addressing journalists in Oshobo, the Zonal Public Relations Officer Olusegun Abatan called on the federal government to decentralize the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs to enable it to function effectively.
It is constitutional. Anytime workers' salaries are increased, pensions should also be increased. But unfortunately, most of our governors don't honor these constitutional provisions. And that is why you find in some of the states that pensioners earning 150 naira a month, 350 naira a month, 500 naira a month. It's not 500,000, 500 naira. The Southwest wishes to suggest that the federal government should scrap the Humanitarian Affairs Ministry because it has not benefited pensioners, nor benefited the vulnerable Nigerians. Rather, it has benefited those that are at the desk of that ministry.
Former Governor of Abia State and Chairman, Senate Committee on Privatization, Orji Kalu, has described the Tuesday explosion in Ibadan as sad and devastating. Mr. Kalu commiserated with the families of the departed souls while wishing hospitalized victims a speedy recovery. The former governor, who expressed sadness over the painful incident, wants government to commence a full-scale investigation into the sad development in a bid to forestall future occurrence. And the senator representing Anambra Central, Victor Umeh, has commended President Bola Tinubu's anti-corruption fight. He made the commendation while distributing over 124 metric tons of food palliatives to the 7 council areas in Anambra Central Senatorial District. He affirmed that such gesture, or rather the intention of government, is pure, and if it's sustained, would redeem the country's image.
We in the National Assembly, we have supported the federal government 100%. The reason being that the government needs to tackle the challenges in Nigeria. The budget the federal government, the president brought to us, we passed the budget, even enhanced his budget, so that we'll be able to tackle these challenges Nigerians are facing. We in the National Assembly are under pressure to see that the government is meeting the needs of the people. And so far, we are seeing in the past 10 days, we've seen the government chasing people for corruption. We weren't seeing this before Buhari left. So that we're now seeing that even under Buhari, some people stole 37 billion naira. So government has put such light on government. It's very good. I commend the president for that.
In Plateau State, the recent efforts by security operatives in the aftermath of the Christmas Eve killings are yielding results and dousing tension. TV City's Funab Joshua has more.
Ongoing efforts to prevent a reoccurrence of the Christmas Eve militia killings across Mangu, Bokos and Barkeladi council areas of Plateau State. More than 200 people lost their lives in the attack launched simultaneously across 25 villages in 3 council areas. 15,000 locals displaced by the attacks were sheltered and were catered for among several emergency temporary camps in the area. The calm and fragile peace experience is a result of the selfless service of the troops in those affected areas and environs. Governor Caleb Mutfwan applauded the troops' leadership for the measures taken so far and committed his maximum support and cooperation to achieving their mandates across the warring communities.
The GOC, since he came on board, I have seen the GOC demonstrate great professionalism. As a government, we want to appreciate all that you are doing, particularly in the wake of the recent attacks on the people of Plateau. I've seen how you have mobilized your men to go into the nooks and crannies of Plateau State in pursuit of these devilish men. As governor, by the grace of God, I will do my best among the committee of governors to advocate for better welfare for our security agencies.
Supporting the security operatives in performing their mandate will make the task easy for them and for the good of all. Funab Joshua, TVC News, Jos.
Outside Nigeria now, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says he has told the United States he opposes the establishment of a Palestinian state once the conflict in Gaza comes to an end. In a news conference, a defiant Mr. Netanyahu vowed to press on with the offensive in Gaza until complete victory, the destruction of Hamas, and return of the remaining Israeli hostages, adding that it could take many more months. With almost 25,000 Palestinians killed in Gaza, according to the Hamas-run health ministry, and 85% of the Strip's population displaced, Israel is under intense pressure to rein in its offensive and engage in meaningful talks over a sustainable end to the war. Israel's allies, including the U.S. and many of its foes, have urged the revival of the long-dormant two-state solution in which a future Palestinian state would sit side by side with an Israeli one. The hope in many cycles is that the current crisis could force the warring parties back to diplomacy as the only viable alternative to endless cycles of violence. But Mr. Netanyahu's comments and his intention appears quite the opposite. That's the news this hour. For more updates on the stories we're monitoring, you can visit our website at tvsnews.tv. You can also follow us on our social media handles, Facebook, Instagram, and on X at TVC News NG. On YouTube, we're live at TVC News Nigeria. Thanks for watching, everyone. Stay with us.